Entertainment. I am your host, Chris Peterson. Joined with me as always is my co-host, Mr. Ben Frawley. How are you, sir?
What's up, Chris? What's up, people around the internet? We're coming at you at 4D and some audio 2D. No, that's like a stick figure. I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway,
some medium, yeah.
Some medium that you're listening to my voice or seeing me. We're coming with video. We're coming with everything this week. I hope you're ready to ingest some entertainment because, Chris, of all the years in our life, we might have seen the craziest entertainment story of all time. I don't know. We've been doing this podcast for 1 billion years, and I have never, I do declare, I have never seen anything like what is going on in entertainment. So I hope you're ready for a great podcast tonight.
Oh my God, it's been a long time coming, and like you said, this is the first time we're actually doing this like on video in addition to audio. So, folks, if you want to actually see our faces and be like, holy shit, Chris is Asian. Definitely check us out on YouTube. This will be posted on our YouTube channel, so you can see our bright smiling faces because we're good-looking men. So it's about time that you see what we look like. And Ben,
I feel like we're getting better looking too. I feel like I'm aging like a fine wine. I think I'm peaking. Like I think it's not. I think after this, it's just.
I looked at pictures from college the other day, and I was like, you know what? I think I look better now than I did in college.
Yeah. Well, Katie and I, we got together. We didn't know each other in high school, even though we went to the same high school. So she'll see pictures of me, and she's like, "Yeah, absolutely not. No, you're a giant dork." And I'm like, "Well, I am a giant dork. I'm just in a." She's like, "But you're in a man's body now." I was like, "Well, okay."
Well, hey now. I love that talk. Talk. Well, folks, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, first of all, welcome. This is kind of the relaunch almost. It feels like a relaunch way.
It does.
Yeah. Ben and I have been doing this for a couple of years, but what we like to do on this podcast is basically bring all the exciting things that we've been watching, listening to, eating, reading, doing outside, because every now and then you got to get outside, entertain yourself, and bring it to the podcast. What has entertained us in the past weeks? And the kicker is, I have no idea what's got it on Ben's mind. He's got no idea what's on my mind either. So everything you're seeing and hearing is a genuine conversation. Nothing's pre-planned, nothing's pre-written. It's all just cut and dry. So with that said, Ben, let's kick it off. What do you got for us?
All right. So just like Chris said, he has no idea what I'm going to bring, but it's kind of obvious what we need to talk about this week. So I know, Chris, that the 2022 Oscars, I don't know if you heard about them, went off a week and a half ago. And we had to delay because we were setting up the new technology for the pod. But Chris, I just don't think my take has changed in a week. I've had a week to sit on this. I've had a week to ingest all of YouTube and the internet and everyone talking about this. I know people are sick of it, but let's take our take a week later. We've had time to process the event, our trauma. We've had time to process our trauma of everything. Here's my take. At first, I thought this thing was totally staged and fake. And in some respect, maybe it still is in my head. Maybe this was a bit gone wrong. Because before the Oscars went off, I was ready to do a podcast about the Oscars and stuff. Of course, we did the Oscars pre-pod and everything. The article I pulled up on BBC News was Oscars 2022, 5 ways the Academy is trying to stay relevant. So last year was the lowest rated Oscars of all time, and it's been on a steady decline. And wouldn't it be amazing if we had a viral moment that everyone could talk to and make it relevant again? Doesn't it seem kind of perfect? Doesn't it seem kind of stagey? I swear there was a Kung Fu Punch sound effect in there when that slap went off. I swear to God, I swear it was like watching a Shaw Brothers movie from the 70s. And I was like, that's fake. And then, there was yada, yada, yada. Everyone's like, oh yeah, like I support him, whatever's going on. But Chris, here's my take. If it was a bit, these people at the Academy and these rich performers are so out of touch that they didn't understand that this would be super, super duper offensive and blowback right in their faces. Now, that being said, it probably isn't a bit. It probably wasn't staged. That being said, these super duper rich performers and the Academy handled this totally wrong. And when you're that out of touch with reality, it reminds me of like Donald Trump when he talks about like, I know inflation's a problem in the country.
Right.
And, he'll be like, you go to the stores to buy your things and, there's just nothing on the shelves. We all know Donald Trump hasn't shopped for himself like ever in his whole life. So it's like such a weird, and he talks about toilets flushing. It's just like this out of touch, weird rich guy thing to say. It's odd. Now, Will Smith, I just think, now this is just a Ben Frawley hot take. I am just not a fan of Will Smith as a performer in a couple decades. There's been more misses than hits. For every Men in Black and Independence Day, there is a After Earth. Oh, it just hurt. Oh, I almost threw up in my mouth a little. After Earth, there's a Wild West. There is just these weird drama movies that there's a Hitch. There's oh my God, that might have made money at the time, but just haven't aged well at all. It's like it hasn't aged like a fine wine. It's aged like a can of Thunderbird or something like that. It's terrible. And you try to watch these movies, you're like, oh, God damn, these are terrible. So, Chris, I just feel like the way they handled everything, and now all the stories that came out that they asked him to leave and he said no, and they gave him an award and everyone gave him an ovation for assaulting someone in front of like the whole crowd. Just so weird. And now, Chris, now I can't wait to hear your take. I know I'm hitting you with a bunch to start the pod, but I know we have two ultra rich, famous people on stage and everyone doesn't know what to do in the room, right? But there is no one stopped this. Jason Momoa, 5 second Aquaman didn't stop him. Go, oh, hey, buddy. Okay, little guy. Because I'm a big guy myself. I mean, I'm not Jason Momoa, but I'm a big guy myself. And when two little people start fighting, I'm like, all right, hey, guys, it's cute. Like imagine this little guy. Just, okay, why don't you come over here? Why don't you come over here? It's going to be okay, guys. It's just kind of embarrassing. So, like, he didn't get up. When security came over to Will Smith, and Jason Momoa was like right here, and they're like, "Oh, sir, can you leave?" He's like, "I ain't leaving. I'm gonna wait for my award." And like Jason Momoa was like, "You better get out of here." I know you're rich and famous. You could probably like have my career, and maybe that's it too. Is because there is a sort of status in Hollywood. I better not say something about this ultra famous person. My agent will have my ass. It's a publicity nightmare. Everyone's being fakey, and I get it. I get the social awkwardness about it, but when does that just unzip and you're like, okay, wait, this is weird. So, Chris, it's just weird. It's just weird. And I think we need to stop talking about it in like a funny light. I think we need to start talking about it and how inappropriate it was. And there should be blowback about this. So that's the final words, Chris.
You're 100%. And, there's been a lot of proxy arguments. That's a new term I've learned, by the way, called proxy arguments. When people take a very basic situation and try to add layers to it, like,
right.
Let's bring up 150 years of terrible U.S. history, and that's the origins of the slap.
Right.
Throw that out the window.
No.
So, yeah. No. Take all those arguments, take all those theories, and just chuck them out the window. And let's just look at the basic things. You had someone in the audience physically assault someone who was presenting an Oscar. That's it. That's what it is. Now, the only layers you should add to it is the person that assaulted them was the favorite for Best Actor, who was within 30 minutes of winning an award. So that's another layer on top of that. So When I saw it happen live, I'll be just like you, I thought it was a bit. I thought the second Will Smith got up there, slapped him, and the way that Chris Rock reacted to the slap was in a almost like kind of an exaggerated like motion. So I thought, oh, okay, that's like a whole thing. And then when the camera cut and went to the commercial, I was like, okay, something's weird. And almost immediately on Twitter, that's where you got to see the Australian feed.
Right.
And that's when you saw the whole, like, keep your wife, my wife's name out of your mouth. And I was like, oh, that was real. And I'll be honest with you, I was at the airport when that happened. I was landing in Georgia, and everybody in the airport had their phone out looking at what just happened and could not believe what had just occurred. And I couldn't believe it either. And I was like, oh my God, Will Smith has lost his mind. Like, we just watched someone
that's my take too. Yeah.
And lose their mind. Now, don't get me wrong. Jokes, sometimes can be inappropriate. Jokes can sometimes be offensive. At the end of the day, they're jokes. It's it. Chris Rock's a comedian.
And Chris Rock's a comedian. Like, what do you expect? Like, if you sat through Ricky Gervais, which Will Smith has and Chris Rock has, if he sat through the Emmys or whatever, Emmys, right?
Oscars.
Oscars. No,
Yeah.
People's
Oh,
Choice.
Golden Globes.
Golden Globes.
I'm
Sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
Nickelodeon Awards. Can I name more of them? That's fine. Yeah, the Golden Globes. He goes for the throat on those, but that's his job. And then you hear about the nightmare it is to host the Oscars because of these moments. Like you can't be funny because everyone gets insulted and offended and attacks you on the internet. And now literally someone's attacking you. Yeah. And I don't know, Chris. I don't know.
It just was. It was one of those things. But to your point, I mean, you're right. It was handled poorly by everybody. Like the only person who handled it the right way in the aftermath was Chris Rock. He just got the F out of there. He's like, all right, I'm leaving. I'm leaving. I need to process just what happened. And the fact that we're now almost 2 weeks later and he still hasn't come out with a statement shows you how much he's taking his time with what happened. I mean, the guy was traumatized on live TV in front of tens of millions of people. I would take some time to think about how I might respond to that. Now,
well, and then I forget who it was. I think it was Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey's take afterwards, he was like, I would sue him for $300 million because just cost him so much money. And of course, and he's like, oh yeah, of course there's a bump and everyone wants to see him now, but in the long run, what damage did you just do to this man's career who makes, I don't know, $100 million a year in touring? Easy. I don't know. Like that figure is nuts how much Chris Rock makes on tour. And it's just like, and he's right. Like there's no amount of damage that you just caused that. Like who cares about the slap? Yeah, go ahead.
And it's one of those things where it's like, I understand how this is a completely unprecedented situation and my God, what do you do? But again, it's in that moment you had multiple people thinking layer upon layer upon layer. Okay, what happens if we do this? What happens with that? You eliminate all of that. You go down to the basics. Someone just assaulted someone else who left the audience to run up on stage to assault someone on stage. They should have been kicked out of the event. I don't care if they were a nominee.
If it was not a famous person and like just a homeless dude off the street, the guy would have been shot and tased and killed instantly. Out.
Like that's it. And the mixed messaging, the misstatements that we've heard since, it's just been a disaster. And we talk about what's the aftermath and what's going to happen to Will Smith and Chris Rock and things like that. I mean, it's weird where it's like I think that the Will Smith we knew is gone. That's it. Like he's never going to get back what he had.
I think he was gone, Chris. I think he was gone. I mean, think of Will Smith when we were kids growing up, with DJ Jazzy Jeff in the house, throwing him out the house, and Carlton and all those guys, like, and also his music, like, I want to beat Mike Tyson and Freddie on My Street and all these funny songs that were hilarious. And it was almost like Weird Al parody rap music, you know what I mean? When I was a kid, and that's what started him, you know what I mean? That guy's gone. That guy is so gone that it's not funny anymore. It isn't. And he doesn't wish to be funny. And that's fine because, and Chris Rock forgot that too. Chris Rock grew up with his music just like us. Like, oh, this guy could take a joke. He made, Freddie on My Street song. And apparently that guy is dead and gone. And Chris, like what happens, and we've talked about this on the pod, is these people get kids and then they can't take a joke. Oh, I can't swear in my movies anymore. Oh, I have to make shitty Star Wars movies, George Lucas. I have to, I have to make a Jar Jar Binks, or I have to make like all my movies have to be PG-13 now. It's like, yikes. And then like, they can't take a joke.
Yeah. I mean, and this, I don't know if this is going to be a hot take or not, but
I don't know.
Everything that happened and the reasons for it and all this stuff, it's Will Smith's fault. It's Will Smith's fault.
I don't think what we're saying is
a hot take.
I don't think it is. I think everyone that came out the day after and that night of and said some wild stuff, I think they're regretting it and they wish their podcast messed up and they're sitting where we're sitting right now. I don't know.
I mean, if people want to say, okay, then why did he snap in that moment? Like, what was the cause of that?
Don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. And you know what? We've listened over the past 2 years, like him and Jada had these like red table talks on Facebook where they put everything about their personal lives out in public. And that's got to mess with your head. Right. And I'm like, no one was asking for that. like I wasn't sitting around a year ago saying, I wonder how Will Smith and Jada's marriage is going. Like, tell me, I would love to hear the nuance and intricacies of your open relationship and how that worked out. And like, so they put all this stuff out there, and for comedians, especially in award season, that's gold. That is gold. So, and everybody was saying like, well, he'd been listening to this for, these comedians go after his marriage and make jokes about his marriage for 3 months leading up to the Oscars. So it was just the final straw. And I'm like, again, that's self-inflicted. He put that stuff out there. No,
don't be a famous person.
Don't be a famous person.
Then you know what? And it actually brings me on to like one of my other topics, like how Nicolas Cage wasn't nominated for Pig. You know what I mean? And he said in the interview, he's like, I wasn't surprised because there comes with such, because that was my performance of the year last year. And my movie of the year won. Questlove's The Summer of Love. You saw that?
Saw that.
But in this interview, he's like, you know what? And this is before the Oscars even happened. He's like, you weren't even nominated. He's like, you know what? It wasn't surprised because I did love that movie. I thought I did great work. I thought everyone put their heart into it. But there is such pageantry that has to go on to win an Oscar, as he knows. I'm done with it. He was like, I'm if I win again, it's great, but it's not because I do that red carpet spiel and you prepare to get attacked. Like, I'm sorry. You should know that, Will Smith. I'm sorry. Like, yeah, get out my face, dude.
So, I mean, it's a shame that happened. It was obviously a selfish moment that he lost his mind, and the acceptance speech was even worse. And here's what I do feel sorry for Will Smith for one reason only.
All right, here we go. And what do you got?
It is that feeling that he must have had in the aftermath where internally you feel you are at your lowest.
No,
not even.
No,
not even
I don't
there.
even think he did, because did you see the shots of him dancing and singing Fresh Prince music at the party afterwards when he won? He didn't accept the award and then and he didn't apologize to Chris Rock at all. It was like kind of like a half-ass apology. If I hit you and then I was like, Chris, love makes me do strange things, and you're like, what the fuck? Ben just hit me in the face. Like, you'd be like, you dick. It'd be such a dick move. So and then I'm like, Chris, I'll see you later. And then you see me like on Twitter, like dancing like this. Like, he looks really sad. I don't know, Chris. I can't even give you that.
It was interesting. I had a kind of a acquaintance from theater journalism who also covers stuff for other publications, and they were in the balcony of the Oscars. And he basically tweeted out there that as Will Smith was announced, no one in the balcony reacted. Like all that standing O cheering, that was all like immediately up front and all that stuff. In the balcony, no one moved because
it's all people with agents and publicists that are probably you need to get up on your feet and still give him a applause. I guarantee they were getting orders from their phone. You need to get up and apply, or it's gonna cost you millions of dollars if you don't do this. I don't know what the fallout is. They're just making guesses at it. I talked to my agent friends and they said you should stand up. We're all gonna stand up so we're all on the same page. It's like shit like that.
There it is. So I mean, obviously we'll see where we go from here, but I think Chris Rock in the long run will be fine. Will Smith his career will never be the same.
After Earth 2.
After Earth 2.
Really going to line up for that one.
Right. I mean, the problem is, like, here's the thing. Like, he has enough money where he could self-finance making whatever he wants. However, someone's got to put that stuff out there. Someone's got to distribute it. And these studios aren't going to touch him.
Yeah, the distributor is going to be like,
yeah. Like, what streaming network is going to touch him?
It's like the next Mel Gibson picture. I mean, I've heard things that there's a couple good ones, but you ain't going to take my money.
No, there's a joke saying that, like, apparently he has a movie in the can with Apple TV called Emancipation. And a lot of people were saying that, like, if he didn't win for King Richard, like, Emancipation would have been his awards moment. And a lot of people are saying, like, Apple's not going to release that thing until 2040 at this point. So, it's like, whatever. I mean, again, I have really little to no sympathy for Will Smith for what he did, the position he put himself in, the self-inflicted attention that he put on his family to then unleash comedians upon him, things like that. Like, that's just what happens. And, you gotta learn the game. Now, I will say this. We have had in the Oscars some pretty crazy moments in the past that were deemed controversial. I mean, back in the 70s, we had a streaker at one point. There was a
Right.
streaker right across the stage. And David Nivens, who was presenting at the time, said something along the lines of like, "Oh, I guess it's cold in here," something like that. Like response.
That was the big controversy.
That was a big controversy. And then we had like, people getting booed on stage for things that they said or stuff like that. But like, if you had said to me like in 2021 there'll be a physical assault on stage on the Oscars, I would have. Where's that prop bet in Vegas that I wish I put my money?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's like having a safety in the first quarter or something like that.
Unbelievable.
But you know what, Chris? But most importantly, all right, a couple things, okay? And this is just a plug, self-promotion for the podcast right here. Not only did we have a couple picks with our movie picks, our end of the year superlatives at these Oscars. So they're listening to our end of the year superlatives, just like Saturday Night Live was listening to us to get funnier. They've been getting funnier. I'm not going to say funnier. And but then also, I know, Chris, that you're a big Howard Stern fan, right? And all they do on Howard Stern is bust balls. You know, Howard busting Baba Booey and Richard Christie, and all they do is mess with each other. And it's all about the ha-has. It's all about bettering the show. You know what I mean? As Bam Margera says in CKY2K, you got to better the film. So, and it comes at all costs. Like, I don't care if you're like taking a flip onto a trampoline with an umbrella or something. You got to better the film. So that's the end of the show. You're an entertainer. You're a performer. Do your job. You know what I mean? You and me are surrounded by the entertainment industry or at one time or another. That's your job. Make the ha-has, make the laugh, make a good show. Don't mess it up. So there you go.
Exactly. Good stuff, man. Well, that's going to segue into my first topic, which is the Grammys happened on Sunday. So while we're still healing from the Oscars craziness, we have another major award show literally the following week. And there was a funny moment where a presenter came on stage who was a comedian, and he was wearing like a helmet before I launched into a set. I was like, good for you. But look, I have a very complicated relationship with the Grammys because I think like 90% of it is bullshit, and they go out of their way to recognize people that we've never heard of. So it's a very elitist, snooty thing. But every now and then they get stuff right, and they do it in a way that it's like, oh, okay, you are truly appreciating good artistry, good music. And they did it twice last night with two of the big awards.
Speaking of our end of the year superlatives, right?
So
listen to the podcast. It's not like, come on, we know things. We're knower of many things. Come on.
So Ben, you called it early on. You're on this in the beginning. Silk Sonic, Anderson .Paak, Bruno Mars, won for not only record of the year but also song of the year from Leave the Door Open. Which, by the way, I mean, if you want to pick a song from that album, the song of the year, just pick anyone. Just throw it.
Pick anyone. I like. Fly Like Me is good. I mean, the Vegas song. I know you're a big Vegas guy. The Vegas one, the 777 song is great too. I mean,
Love Train is great. This is how good these two are. I was literally listening to them in the car today. My wife has never heard Silk Sonic. Huge Bruno Mars fan, but like never heard like their Silk Sonic. So we're driving back from brunch because it's her birthday. I put on the album. And I said, listen to this, tell me what you think. And within like 3 songs, she gives me the look of like, it's on. It's on.
Yeah.
So, you know that look. But it's, I was like, this is, and then she says to me, she goes, how many children do you think will be conceived by this album? I said, an entire generation of people. Will be conceived.
It's the new Al Green. It really is.
It really is. Like I was listening to it, and it reminded me of Teddy Pendergrass. It reminded me of Luther Vandross. All those guys. From, late 70s, early 80s. Like it's phenomenal. So, Ben, you were on these guys to begin with. I want to hear your thoughts on them getting the recognition that they deserve.
Well, I mean, that was your end of the year superlative. Was record of the year was Silk Sonic, right? That was I did the Felice Brothers. You did Silk Sonic right there. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking through, and of course you're gonna have pop records, and we know a bunch of those. Billie Eilish is on there, and all these other people that we know. But Jean Baptiste is on there. There's a lot of people that are on there that I listen to, like and I'm hip. I'm with it. Like, so I know some, but I consider myself a fuddy-duddy. Like if you come down to my basement and we do some YouTubing on this TV right here, it's gonna be all old shit. You know what I mean? It's all pre-2000s. It's all Hall & Oates. The post-2000 stuff is like Thundercat and jazz music from Kamasi, Washington. So that's old people music too. So freaking, I don't know, man. I feel like this artist, and like you said, and I think when we brought him up for the first time, maybe it was a video or maybe it was just listening to the album, and you were like, it's almost a parody. It's almost Weird Al. Like, you know what I mean? If you're hungry, I got the Lays. If you want to smoke, I got the haze. I mean, that's such a ridiculous line. And then these guys, but then the interviews with them, Chris, I don't know if you've watched any of the interviews on YouTube. There's some great interviews with it, and they just seem like, so it seems like, and this is like the quick and dirty review of it, it was the pandemic, and Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars, of course, are just performers. They love performing. They love going out on the road and performing. That's their shtick. And Anderson .Paak was like, we didn't know if we were going to ever perform ever again. And so that's why we did this thing. We had to get it out of us. We had to do something fun. And then they pushed themselves because they were like, we didn't know if we were going to perform this thing. And we pushed ourselves to sing at such a register. Like he said, Bruno really pushed my voice. Because if you listen to Anderson .Paak, you know, screw him, because he's got that rasp. He can drum. You ever seen the Tiny Desk concert with Anderson .Paak? It's outrageous. I think we've talked about that. And he's just start doom, and he's singing, and he's got that rasp. But he said that Bruno pushed him to hit those high notes and all that stuff. And Bruno is the high note guy. You know what I mean? He can hit Michael Jackson notes. But he pushed him, and they pushed each other, and it's just so great. Now, that being said, Chris, I hate to put the pressure on, but this follow-up, whatever they're going to do next, they've set a bar so high. They're going to need to go big. They're going to be hard in the paint on this one. I don't know.
Do you think it'll be like 10 years from now? Like they don't need to, no rush. Like,
no rush. I don't know about 10 years, but maybe 3 or 4 years, I could say. Right. I don't think they should go right away. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even though they had like a follow-up single or something, I don't think they should go right away. I think they should leave it until they have a full album and then just go. Yeah. I think they should do it. Yeah, I think they should do it and release a full video album too. I think they should just wait, produce full videos, try to keep it in secret, and then release the whole thing, dude.
I just think to myself, like, what if their next album is better than
if any artist out there could do it, they could do it. They really could. Like they are like Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak are some of the most creative artists we have out there that can like transgress genre and any kind of style that you're into. Like anyone that hears those songs, I don't care if you're not a big R&B guy, but even my parents liked them. Like it crossed genres, it crossed decades and generations. I mean, because everyone loves like Midnight Train to Georgia on my K-Tel records over here. You know what I mean? If I brought the camera over here, I have a K-Tel section. K-Tel records is my favorite. And like, you know, just the call response of the smoothness of like R&B records. But then also they have so much street cred because as we know, Anderson .Paak just performed at the freaking Super Bowl with Dr. Dre too on the stage too. So like, if you're into that type of music, you know the freaking guy. And then on record over here, I have Anderson .Paak's solo Adventure on record too. It's a great album. Chris, do you know that album?
I do. Yeah.
That's a great album. And then before this album came out, I was like, man, this guy is awesome. And then this album came out, I was like, my head exploded. So Chris, you heard it here first on the podcast. We're trend setting on this podcast.
Trend setting. So yeah, other than that, I mean, the Grammys were pretty much run of the mill after that. I mean, not a lot of surprises. A couple of weird things like I don't normally talk about reggae, but like the best reggae album, you had like all these nominees and it went to a bunch of white guys, which was like,
yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
It's a little weird.
Yeah, but whatever. Yeah. You know what? Me and Katie, we just went to a concert in Syracuse. We saw, listen, and a couple of podcasts I listened to, like the Josh Myers podcast, the 500, he always makes fun of white boy reggae, like Sublime and stuff like that. I gotta say, I'm from Connecticut. I'm from CT. We love our ska. We love our 90s ska. We love our Pie Tasters. We love our Sublime. We like all that stuff. Real Big Fish. Sign me right up. So we went out to Syracuse a couple weeks ago. We saw this band called the Bumping Uglies, and they're out of Baltimore. Check them out. They're great. They have some slow stuff. The guy's hitting the echo effects paddle. Really cool. I'm old. I'm the only one skanking in the crowd, and all these little kids are like, what the hell is this guy? They're all on their phones. They're all tweeting the Twitter. They're like, beep, 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 beep. And I'm like, yeah, baby. So I don't know. I like white boy reggae, so I don't know.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. All right, sir. What else you got this week?
All right. Katie and I went to see, so I always promote stuff on the podcast, especially our regional stuff, people trying. So we have in Rome, New York, we have our little they call it the Arts District, and they really fixed up this old Capitol Theater that is 100 years old. And it came out like 1921 or 101 years old. And they fixed it up. The Jim and Julie Boeheim organization donated a ton of money, and they fixed it up. It's really awesome. Great marquee. Chris, I posted pictures online, and you could see like the woodwork. It's great. So we took the kiddo to see Wizard of Oz, and I've never seen the Wizard of Oz on the big screen in HD. So they have a full HD projector. Let me tell you, Chris. So a family night, you know what I mean? So we had the kiddo, and like everyone else brought their kids, and there was little kids. That movie, speaking of 100 years ago, is almost 100 years old. And watch those kids shut up. No kids running through the aisles. I don't know if they're half terrified because there's some intense scenes in that movie, but because there's a lot of death and kill and all that stuff, and like people don't say those in kid movies anymore. And it's like, you killed the Wicked Witch. It's like crazy. So that was amazing. But the movie I want to talk about, because they do a lot of Oscar movies there and a lot of indies there. The movie is called X. Chris, have you heard about this movie X that has come out?
I've heard of it. I have not seen it yet, but I've heard mixed things. I'm excited for your take.
Chris, high recommendation. High recommendation. This movie is outrageous. Go bring a bunch of friends. Go this is a fun party movie.
Give us the brief synopsis. Give me the pitch.
Movie takes place in 1979. Period piece. This owner of a topless car wash wants to make an adult feature to make his millions of dollars. So he rents an old farmhouse from an old couple to, produce the porno movie, and horror movie ensues. That's all you gotta know. That's it.
In.
So like that little 3-sentence synopsis, I'm giving my money. I'm producing. You know what I mean? Like I'll take out a loan, buddy. You have my money on that one. But Chris, standout performances. If you're a horror movie fan, it's got everything. It's got nudity in it. It's got kills in it. It's got gore in it. It's got suspense in it. It's got comedy in it. Like you're laughing through the first half of the movie. And you know what? A good sign of a movie, Chris, before we get to the killing, before we get, and we're talking a good halfway through this picture. It's not a long movie at all. I think it's probably like an hour or 40 or something like that. I'm laughing in the aisles. I'm dying. And it's legit laughs. Like they meant to make it funny. And before horror movie part starts, I turn to Katie and I go, you know what? I wish this wasn't going to turn into a horror movie. I wish I would watch what's going on right now. Like the characters are full. The characters are rich. I believe them. The actors are phenomenal in this. And Chris, I don't know, high recommendation. I don't know if it's my movie of the year. I mean, but what else has really come out? I mean, it's kind of my movie of the year. So, I mean, the Oscars are done. So that's my pick for movie of the year so far. I mean,
it's the top contender so far, really.
It's the best movie I've seen. So, Chris, high recommendation. It just passed $10 million. And this is an A24 release. And the big news that came out is they've already filmed and shot, it's in the can, a prequel to this movie.
A prequel?
And I highly recommend that you stay through the credits because there is a teaser trailer for the prequel already at the end of the trailer. And what's great about the Capitol Arts Cinema over here is it was me, Katie, and like a couple people, and the projectionist, the guy that's working, he's like, dude, don't leave. There's a clip after the screen. I'm like, oh shit. So we go back in, we watch the thing. I was like, that was awesome. So, it comes with like these go support your small theaters because you get like a little personal touch. Chris,
love it.
What are the mixed things you've heard about it? What's going on?
Well, this is what I've heard. If you're someone that is in the know, like horror films, campiness, you appreciate it, this is an excellent movie going.
It was made for us. It was made for me, Katie. I mean, it was.
If you're an elitist horror film person that needs to be scared and terrified and all these different things, and expecting a lot like highbrow horror, which is an oxymoron in itself to say out loud, you're gonna hate it. And so I like to go with the former group rather than the latter when it comes to my horror. The gorier, the campier, the better.
Oh yeah.
It's just a matter of time for me to see this movie. But and trusted recommendations coming from yourself, by the way.
If you were, I don't know if it's as campy as Planet Terror by Robert Rodriguez, part of the Grindhouse, but if you enjoyed that, you will love this movie. It is, and actually they make a great double feature. Planet Terror in this one, I don't know about Death Proof in this one, but Planet Terror in this one would be phenomenal. And let me tell you, this is a small budget, low budget thing, and there needs to be more movies like this because all we're getting in the theaters are superhero movies and Oscar winners. That's all we're getting. And so we need more A24s, more Blumhouse. We need all that stuff. And speaking of Blumhouse, I mean, they're producing lots of movies at a fast clip. And, I was talking about like more stinkers than winners with Will Smith's movies. There are more winners than stinkers with Blumhouse and especially A24. A24 has all the Ari Aster movies and all those movies. So these guys, to me, you just take my money. Just take it. All right, Chris.
Whoever is in charge of purchasing and like saying like we want to buy that, we want to do that, and A24 is a genius. They should be given awards every year. It's almost like if I see that before a movie, I know, okay, we're in for something here.
Yeah, something. Like at least, and whatever your take on Midsommar or Hereditary is, at least they're different. He's trying something different. Like people, even if they didn't like those movies, they're like, that movie was wild. Meaning I've never seen a movie like that. And that's what you want. You want a new experience. You don't want to just sit there and like, oh, let's go. And now we have a flashback to the origin story. Now we have a flashback to the, it was awesome.
No, exactly.
Awesome.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. So I want to talk about last week or a couple days ago, we had April 1st. It was April 1st upon us. And here in the United States, we like to have a little bit of a tradition, a little joking tradition, if you will, of playing a little practical jokes on one another, just saying April Fools. And on the blog, we typically in theater, Twitter, and theater social media, we like to have a lot of fun and put out fake show announcements and things like that. And last year I was kind of lame. I said that Mamma Mia 2 was going to open on Broadway.
Oh, I remember that. Wait, that wasn't a real thing?
No, it wasn't a real thing. Sorry to let you down. I'm sorry.
Chris, I'm so not in the theater now. I was like, oh, all right. Well, there's more ABBA songs out there. I mean, like, did they use?
They made a movie, so okay.
You know that song? Chicka Chiwa, baby, I know. Chicka Chiwa. I don't know how to say it, but it's a great song. Chicka Chicka.
But this year I decided to go the opposite direction. And I put out a release on the blog saying that Phantom of the Opera is going to close next year to make way for a Phantom of the Opera prequel. And I wrote this whole thing where it was like, Andrew Lloyd Webber's really excited because it's going to be, based on this Phantom's teenage years when he's living in the opera house by himself, where he's learning how to tie knots.
Oh God! And Goth Phantom.
Emo. Goes through his emo
He's listening
phase.
to a lot of Cure. It's all Cure music. It's all the Cure and music the Smiths. It's all Morrissey.
It's like so.
I deserve to be loved.
And then I said something along the lines of like how like one of the numbers was going to be like this tap dancing number about how he's going to like buy his cymbal playing monkey toy that he has, and like there's going to be a whole tap dance about that. And at the end, I said April Fools. Now, this started as a joke, and then it quickly became an experiment to see how people don't read. Like they don't.
Right.
We're not reading anymore because so many people. I mean, if you
headline up here, right?
They just read the headline and then they just share, and they don't click on it to find out what happened. Because if you read the article, it just gets more preposterous as you go on. And so this thing blew up. on social media. Like it just blew up. We got over like 1,000 shares, and
Oh,
like it
that's
was just
great.
ridiculous.
That's great.
It got so blown up that two things happened. One, it triggered Google alerts. So Google alerts, if you subscribe to Phantom of the Opera on Google alerts, you got an alert saying that Phantom of the Opera is going to close next year in your mailbox.
Like the
So,
little headline, the little blurb came up on your
yep,
phone, the little beep.
the little beep, beep, oh my God, oh my God. And
Oh, whoa.
that. And then I got an email from the press office, the publicity office from Phantom of the Opera. Now, I have no qualms about insulting these people. And they're first of all, because the company is called the publicity office. They're not even like clever with their name, but it's just two guys, by the way. Anyway, one of them emails me, and by the way, his name is Mike, and I'm calling him out, Mike, who, when he's not a Broadway publicity person, he's a DJ. So he's DJing Mike on the weekends. Yeah. Guess that publicity is not giving you enough work there. Anyway, he emails me.
It's not Roger Sterling and Don Draper.
Right, exactly. So he emails me and he's like, Chris, this is, I understand April Fool's is a thing, but to post a joke about a show closing in this climate is so appalling and irresponsible. Yeah, exactly. So
you gave them free publicity.
I just gave you free publicity. People were panicking and probably buying tickets like crazy to go see the show. So you should be thanking me. But apparently he was upset because like he was reading comments in the thread where like some people were like, oh no, I gotta go see this, but then other people were like, good, like they're like, it's about damn time. And he was upset about that because I guess in Mike's mind he thinks that everybody just universally loves Phantom of the Opera. So I just wrote back 3 words. I said, thanks for your input, Mike, and I just hit send, and that was it.
Yeah, start your own theater blog, Mike.
Exactly. And then
DJ
the next
Mike,
day,
DJ Mike.
the next day,
I gotta work on that. Like that.
And then the next day, I get an email from him, and he's the one that showed me the Google alert. I had no idea, but he's the one that showed me the Google alert saying like the damage has been done. I'm appalled, and I was just like, this is ridiculous. So I emailed it to all my buddies who own all these other theater websites in New York, and they all just laughed as well. They were like, oh my God, we've never seen anybody take it this seriously.
Can we start another one? Like, can we start another rumor that Will Smith had to give up his Oscar to Nicolas Cage for Pig?
There you go. So that's my epic April Fool's joke, which, by the way, and that article is still getting looked at massively, by the way. Like, I look at the analytics on the site. It's like 4 days later, it's still the most read article in our blog because it's the headline, and then people read it and they're like, oh, haha, you got me. But like, yeah, he was legitimately angry. So Mike, lighten up. Your show next year will be on Broadway for 35 years. We can start having a little fun with it. Lighten up, please.
I know. Yeah.
Good Lord.
You've made your nut. Get out
here.
You're
fine. You're fine. Exactly. Ben, I wanted to ask you though, did you have any fun on April Fool's? Is there an April Fool's joke that you once played that was really good or anything like that?
Oh, well, I'll answer both. This year it was kind of light around the office. One of my coworkers called in, said he had COVID. And then he showed up. And
and didn't say April Fool's.
Yeah, and then my boss, I think she Vaselined his phone. So that's all good fun. So when you pick it up, it was like we have the old phones. Oh, it's good times. But one of my favorite April Fool's jokes that I ever did was so we have a company van at work that we pick people up in, and my old coworker Bob, he was an ex-cop, so he was very serious and stuff like that. Like, and so he would always leave this van running. Speaking of just the greenhouse effect, he would leave this thing, and sometimes you would forget about time. This thing would be running for like an hour, and it was April Fool's, and I was like, you know what? I went and he left it running, doors unlocked, key in it. It wasn't automatic start. It was just old school van. So I took it and I drove it around the building, and then I parked it like on the back. And then I just came in like, no, hey, morning, everyone. Just went right to my office, didn't say anything. And like he came in, he was like, whoa, what the, oh, and he's like freaking out. Stuff like that. It was great. So that was my favorite, just because former cop, he thought the van was stolen. So, he was going to I'm going to call my buddy down at the station or something. It was awesome. And then I stopped him before he called the police because that would have been bad. He wouldn't have looked good, but that was one of my favorites.
But there you go. So again, folks, it's April Fool's. As long as nobody's doing like serious damage, and then saying April Fool's, lighten up. We need some humor.
Yeah, so fake steal a car. That's what I just said.
There you go. All right, so what do you got for your number 3 this week?
Number 3 this week, Chris, on the lost episodes of Ricky and Lucy. I mentioned this on our podcast that we lost. And this is from a couple weeks ago, but I just need to mention this. Quentin Tarantino in talks to direct Justified, City, Primeval episodes. So this is going to be a short run based off of the show Justified with Timothy Olyphant and Walton Goggins. One of my favorite shows of all time. If you look it up, I couldn't believe this when as I'm rewatching the show. It is a very high rated show on Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, and the whole thing and stuff, and just great trivia. From all accounts, it was fun to work on. This is the last thing Elmore Leonard worked on. And that's what the Tarantino connection is. Of course, he wrote Rum Punch, which was the basis for Jackie Brown and stuff like that. So Tarantino's a big fan. And from all accounts, this show was unlike any other. They said that everyone that hit the set was able to put their input on, either improv some dialogue or change a scene around or add a couple things. And so when you watch this show, even if a character's arc, let's say some dirty criminal that Raylan ends up killing at the end of the episode, just lasts one episode, you get a sense that these characters are rich and they have a little backstory and, rewatch. So I'm watching it with Katie Cat, who's never seen it before. And this show, Chris, has aged like a fine wine. And I think I said this because when this show was made in 2010, we would laugh about the Nazis coming back. Oh, what is this, Indiana Jones? Oh, Justified, get out of here. And then all of a sudden, some Tiki Torch assholes rolled up on North Carolina, and this really happened. So when you're watching this show and rewatching it, it is definitely a more biting tone that you're like, oh, this is it's more relevant today than it was when it was made. And it has aged like a fine wine. This show is great. And Chris, you know what I've noticed? So we're in the tail end of season 3 right now. And this show kind of went from episodic to long story form season 2. And what we know of TV now, like as this show was being made, Breaking Bad started coming out, Mad Men started coming out. And I think the writers were like, oh, we can kind of carry a storyline, a story arc, a whole season, couple seasons, and people will watch. People like this. And this is the art form changing. But you know what, Chris? What's refreshing is that some of these storylines end in one episode. Raylan ends up gunning this guy down. And it's like, some characters just deserve one episode,
Yep,
I'm all set. Like that, I think that guy served his purpose and Raylan needed to kill him. You know what I mean? And so Timothy Olyphant's on for this, Walton Goggins on for this, and just watching their acting is great. And as you know, Timothy Olyphant came back and played the sheriff in the fake TV episode in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So Tarantino's a fan of this. Chris, have you seen it yet? Have you watched it yet?
So here's the deal. I know we talked about this previously. I just got through Yellowstone.
Okay.
So I finished Yellowstone.
Right.
I'm caught up, which is amazing.
We haven't started season 4 because we're on Justified right now. So
oh my God. So
I know. I saw your comment on. Thank you for the spoiler-free comment, but you say that the first episode of 4 is.
Oh my God.
All right.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So now that I've caught up on that, I was gonna hit like cowboy shows or like I thought
The
like
era.
going from Yellowstone to Justified would be a good transition. So
Oh yeah.
it is literally the next thing on my list. So I'm gonna probably start that tomorrow. So I'm very excited. I'll have an update for you next pod.
Feel free to shoot me text through.
Yeah.
The first episode is great. So Chris, just a little backstory. I won't spoil anything, but a little backstory. This is based on a short story by Elmore Leonard, and it's called Fire in the Hole. And when you watch the first episode, you'll know why it's called that. And so it's just a short story, and all the characters that are in the first episode are in the short story. And Chris, the acting is so phenomenal. characters, the writing, everything is great. It still has that kind of TV sitcom feeling to it. There's still a lot of old school television, but it's kind of, when you watch it, you'll know what I'm saying. You're like, man, I miss TV shows like this that were just like, we had a plot, we finished it up, 45 minutes, nice little bow. It was kind of nice. It was great. But Chris, high recommendation. I'm still hanging with it with season 3. I remember towards the end, I was like, it was okay. But I remember the first 3 are gold, and they are gold, and they're as good as I remember. They're better than I remembered. Like, I don't know if another show has come along, especially a crime drama. What's a really good crime drama that's out there right now? Like, has there been like, and I'm not talking about, not like, there's always good room for SVU and Law and Order and Blue Bloods and stuff, but maybe Blue Bloods, I guess, because that's not a long form show. They kind of wrap a case up, and I don't know if there's a long form crime show out there.
Yeah, not really.
I mean, we had that
like Mayor of Easttown, but like
I was just gonna say, Mayor of Kingstown. Yeah. I think that's the closest thing I could come to relate Justified to. And actually, there are some, even though that's a very intense show, there's some intense shit in Justified that I can't believe they got away with in 2012 FX cable television. Like, you're watching, you're like, yowzer. Like, there's a lot of gore scenes. There's some torture scenes. You're like, yikes. So Chris, still a high recommendation. People, even though we went through the pandemic and we kind of reached the end of movies and TV, there's still stuff out there to explore and get into. So Justified is coming back. That's the big news. So go rewatch it, because my God, it's still a great show. There you go, Chris.
Love it. Yeah, no. And the guy who created, his name is Graham Yost, and he's actually had a pretty interesting career. I mean, he was the writer of Speed and Broken Arrow, and he wrote 2 episodes of like Band of Brothers and stuff like that. So he's been around. But his follow-up to Justified, because he really hasn't done anything. I don't know if you've seen this yet.
No.
He's got an Apple TV series, which looks like it premiered already on Apple TV. I got to take a look at this. It's called Slow Horses, and it's a spy thriller television series.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I just saw a trailer for that.
Yep,
it just premiered like a week ago, right?
Just a week ago. And that is Gary Oldman, Jonathan Pryce, Kristen Scott Thomas, Olivia Cook.
There's only 2 episodes out. Look at that.
Yep. So that is his next venture. So hey, and I gotta tell you, like, someone like Timothy Oliphant is someone that I kind of look at as, if he's in it, then it's there's got to be something special about it. Like, he's on that level. And even Walton Goggins is kind of on that level of, like, if I see them in something, it's like there's got to be a reason why they wanted to be in this, and I have to go check this out.
Well, and Walton Goggins is on, the Vice Principals and the Gemstones show, and we said, RIP, we said the same thing about Michael K. Williams. If we saw him in something, we're like, we got to at least see it or check it out and look it up, because for him to do it, it's got to be elevated. And Chris, there's no one cooler than Raylan Givens. Raylan Givens might be one of my all-time favorite characters. Like, he's great. Like, for me, Chris, when this show comes back, let's say we're rich and famous from this podcast, I would love QT, if you're listening. I feel like, I don't know, Chris, casting-wise, just look at me right now. Are you feeling more meth head, or are you feeling more dopey big redneck?
Oh, jeez.
Like, you got to get out of here. I told you not to say that about my mama. Or are you seeing like, no, I'm too doughy for that, right? Dopey big redneck guy?
I think dopey big redneck guy. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm talking like back cabin.
Oh yeah.
Like off the grid.
Shotgun shack. Yeah.
Shotgun shack, like in your t-shirt and tidy whitey underwear, coming to the door.
Oh, I'll do that. Oh yeah.
Like, and with like a weapon, but not like a weapon that you would, like, not like a conventional weapon. Like,
sickle?
You're holding like you're holding like a drill or something, like a power drill or something like that. Like something where, like, I never thought. I was like, oh God,
hedge trimmer.
There you go.
What's that? I can see myself, like, Shotgun Shack Remember that show? What was it, Shiners or Moonshiners? I could be like a moonshining guy. Like, get off my property. This is our territory. This is our still.
Yep.
That'd be pretty good.
I love it. Good stuff. Man. Good stuff. Oh, well, so speaking of good shit and then bad shit. So we talk about good actors where we're like, oh man, if I see them in something,
elevates the piece. Right. Get like Gary Oldman on that show. Yeah, I got to see that. Yeah.
Bingo. They're on the flip side. There are actors where if I see that they're involved with this ain't gonna be good.
Okay. Wait, I got. All right. You go ahead. One person came to mind. And this is a hot take, but go ahead, Chris.
So this is the segue into my number 3, and I want to hear your take as well. So for my pick it's Jared Leto. Jared Leto's at the top of my list.
You took my third story. This is good. No, but I was going to use this as my third story, but go ahead.
So I didn't see Morbius. I have no intention of seeing that movie.
No.
It looks dumb. It looked dumb from the get-go. I saw Jared Leto was going to star in it. It's like, nope, I'm out already. What I did though is I read the full plot of what I went on Wikipedia, just read the whole thing. I watched the post-credit scenes and the mid-credit scenes.
Oh, which I hear is I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
It is one of those things. And you know what, folks, unless there's like severe Morbius fans out listening to this pod right now, I'm going to spoil.
Which there might be, actually. We're pretty nerd.
There might be. So I'm going to spoil something for you if you haven't seen it already.
Okay, so, great. Go for it. Put the spoiler up. I can't imagine. Yeah.
But in both mid and post credit scenes involve the same person, which is not the main character of the movie, which is the first time I've ever seen this. They both involve Michael Keaton and
playing the same character.
Okay. So the first mid credit scene is in Spider-Man No Way Home.
Right.
When the whole thing's when the universe opens up at the end and you see those cracks and things like that, what they did was they basically showed his character from the Spider-Man universe, from the first one,
from Homecoming, right,
as Vulture, land and get transported into the Morbius universe. That was the first mid-credit scene, and he just appears in this empty cell, and he's like, "Where am I? What's going on?" The post-credit scene is apparently, without showing how, he has escaped prison, rebuilt his Vulture getup, and he meets Morbius in the desert. And the movie takes place in a city. Like, how do they get to the desert?
Are they filming like one of those clone commercials where Johnny Depp's playing the guitar or something like that?
It looks like that. And he's like, oh, we gotta create a team to do some good. Because I hate that Spider-Man. I mean, the dialogue literally is that bad.
Wait, how are they doing good to fight Spider-Man? Or I don't.
So you just spent this movie trying to establish Morbius as this like anti-hero,
right? And
then at the post-credit scene, you're like, he's gonna join a Sinister Six type of deal and be a bad guy, and it's one of those things where it's like if you needed any confirmation that Sony has no idea what the hell they're doing with the Spider-Man stuff, that was like the icing on the cake, where it's like, we've had these co-produced Spider-Man movies, that deal is apparently done. So now if we're getting any Tom Holland at all, it's going to be just based purely on Sony. However, here's the problem.
That's it? No Disney?
That's it.
Well, I'm all set.
As far as I know.
It was a good run.
Here's the thing.
It was a good run.
But here's the thing. The universe that they're in is not the Tom Holland universe. So Morbius, Venom, all this stuff is in a separate Spider-Man universe who we don't even know who the Spider-Man is in that universe.
Stop it.
So it's like anything that they could have done to get people excited about Morbius and Venom, and now we're doing a Kraven the Hunter movie, and then we're doing a Madam Web movie. And
We're
all
doing
these
it
things.
because this movie's made money, dude. They're doing it.
They
Just
do
let
it.
you know. I think it made $80 million over the weekend. So
Oh, Jesus. No,
yeah, it's coming.
it's coming. But they have no plan. There is no conceivable plan. And it just is like, I know a lot of people out there want to hate on Marvel and say like Marvel is just dominating the thing. They are, but they're also good at it. Like,
Right.
yes, it's like the Patriots. Like, yeah, they win every year, but they're freaking good at it. Like,
Did you watch the first episode of the Moon Knight?
Exactly.
Fucking phenomenal.
Phenomenal. And I'm like, I'm talking about like at this point, I'm wondering if they have just like a dartboard of like old comics and they're just throwing a dart against the wall saying, we'll make a series about that character. Who's that? Moon Knight? Okay.
Let's do this
Why
thing.
not? Let's do this thing. And shit, it worked. I mean, the first episode was phenomenal. Now I'm on board with anything. So, and I don't know if you saw this, but like Ethan Hawke was doing an interview with Jimmy Fallon, and Fallon was like trying to get like stuff out of him, and like, who's going to be in this, like stuff like that. And he said Blade, and Ethan Hawke like paused. He's like, kind of did this like, no, that would have been cool, but yeah, no, Blade's not in this. And I'm like, okay, you're gonna resurrect Blade with Mahershala Ali. All right, I'm in.
In
like,
this show, I know we're planning on it, but my God,
do it. Whatever you want to do, I don't care. But it's just it's such a like,
it's a delicate game. It really is a delicate game. Yep, between cheesy and cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like Chris, we've been nerds since way back. You know what I mean? But this whole like nerd is cool thing. It's all fun and games until it all falls apart. You know what I mean? It's like a shitty Wizard of Oz until that curtain falls down and it's just like a bunch of nerds like, oh my God, never mind the man behind the curtain. Like all of a sudden cool kids and mainstream moviegoers are gonna be like, wait a second, this is nerd shit. So if we ruin this, for every cool Marvel movie, there is another shitty. Oh, there's another shitty. How about this, Chris? Remember that Tom Cruise mummy movie?
The Dark Universe.
Yikes. Remember they had that big entertainment spread with all the cast and how it was going to be so cool. And that movie was garbage. That movie was utter garbage.
So it's like here's the thing. You need a studio that can commit to the long game, which Marvel did. They were able to convince Disney. They said, look, it's going to be a 15-year process, but you're going to make billions of dollars and the payoff is going to be huge. Other than Spider-Man No Way Home, well, let me say this. In the past 5-10 years, the biggest movie events, Avengers and Spider-Man. That's it.
Yeah, easily. So, not even close.
Not even close.
It's not. You couldn't even call. It's almost like they're not even playing the same sport. They're not even. You couldn't even call them movies. We call them events. Like this is the next Marvel event. Like as opposed to like a movie that like a movie like the movie I just saw, X or something like that. That's a movie made $10 million. Boom, with $2 million budget.
And the next event is going to be this Doctor Strange movie. That's going to be the next.
Yeah, it is directed by Sam MOF and Raimi. Are you kidding me, dude? Now, Chris, let's great stuff, Chris. I was going to talk about this, but let's just move on really quick one on the way out. It's the 25th anniversary of Armored Darkness. So yeah. So I went about, this was a proud moment. So last weekend it was time. I showed my 8-year-old Army of Darkness.
How'd it go?
Awesome.
Groovy? Did it groovy?
Groovy. Shink, shink. Groovy. It went awesome. He was belly laughing. So not only wasn't it scary, by today's standards, not scary at all. Even though Evil Ash is pretty scary. Yeah. Like when his face is all cut up, it was pretty scary, but didn't blink it. When Ash is fighting the little mini Ashes that hop out of the mirrors and he hits his head on the stove and then his head hits the stove and it starts steaming and he has to take a spatula and scrape it. He is belly laughing like the Stooges. Because I told him, I was like, Deco, just give you a heads up. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a lot of Three Stooges sound effects in this. Like, and like he called every single one. He's like, oh, that was Stooges. Like, oh my God, the whole thing. It went great.
Boomstick.
Oh, now, Chris, I bring this all up because Sam Raimi's directing and Bruce Campbell last summer said, hey, helping a buddy film a movie in London I hate to get my hopes up, but is Ash Williams in the MCU?
So if that happens, I'm going to lose my mind. I will.
I know he said, I'm not playing Bruce, I'm not playing Ash anymore. I'm all done, but making a cameo with the chainsaw.
Like, if that happens, I feel bad for the row in front of me because every fluid in my body will come out of every orifice. Like, if it can evacuate from my fingers,
I'll scream.
Like it's going to be bad. It's going to be tears. It's going to be blubbering. Well, did you
pause
see?
the movie?
I'm
going to scream. Pause the movie. Like,
stop. Can we rewind? Did you see his tweet the other day?
No.
Bruce Campbell's. So I don't know if it was Instagram or Twitter, but he put something out, and it was just him and Raimi. Like, he's got his arm around Raimi, and they're like both dressed in suits. It almost looked like Campbell was in a costume because it was like a red like suit. But he said like something along the lines of like, making movies with this guy is always a little strange, and that was it. And I was like,
well, he's definitely in the movie. I mean, he's definitely in it, and he's been in all the Spider-Man movies. He played like the usher and all that stuff. Right. He played Bonesaws, right? He played the wrestling announcer. So I mean, he's in the movie, and I don't know if they're going to do it, but there's the new Evil Dead video game coming out. Have you seen the trailer for that too?
No,
where you can play. It looks awesome. It's a sandbox game. You could play Ash, or you could play Evil Ash, and you have a horde of Deadites and you kill people in it. It looks
amazing. So anyway, talk about actors. If I see them in anything, it's got to be good or in some amazing way. Bruce Campbell's under.
Oh, you mean like the movie Moontrap with the actor that played Chekhov? Yeah, that's a good one. Or Mind Trap with Angus Scrimm. They're all quality, Chris. I've seen them all.
I celebrate the man's entire comic. It's fine. Wow, that would be huge.
I know.
Yeah, like, well, talk about. I mean, Army of Darkness is one of those movies where it's like, if you watch Evil Dead 1 and 2, there is no conceivable way that you get Army of Darkness. Like, that's what wraps up the trilogy.
No,
like, we get these two amazing horror films, and then we get this medieval, like, fantasy film to wrap it up. It's the biggest middle finger ever, and I love it.
Well, you know what? And that's why Sam is a great person to direct this, because he committed fully.
Yeah.
Like, who else in their right mind would take their own money and make Evil Dead 2 and then fully commit to that ending where he ends up in medieval England somewhere or whatever, and he has to fight the army of the Deadites. And he's like, you know what? Screw it. I'm not going to remake the cabin thing. Not going to make another horror movie with Bruce. We're going to go to medieval. I'm going to fully make an Army of the Dark. And you know what, Chris, rewatching it, I'm just going to put this out there. Peter Jackson's a big horror movie guy. He was started as a horror movie. The last fight scene in Army of Darkness has a lot. I don't want to say stolen or borrowed. There are a lot of similarities to Helm's Deep. I'm just going to say. Yeah. When the elves are all holding their longbows tight and stuff like that, and he goes steady. He says steady in Army of Darkness, and like, it's like the same. It's pretty wild, dude.
I mean, there's got. I wouldn't be surprised if Peter Jackson put that as an homage or tribute to Sam Raimi, because those guys all revere each other, and actually that brings up an interesting point. I am 99.9% convinced that there is a Sam Raimi homage in Spider-Man: No Way Home. There's a scene, so it's the scene where they're in the high school after the three Peters meet, and they're about to start working on all of the cures and doing all the science stuff. And there's a little thing where you see all these hands just grabbing stuff off the wall. Oh, that's a very Sam Raimi
definitely thing. Like, it's like the Doc Ock things.
Yep. Yeah. And I was like, that's an homage right there. So it's like Sam Raimi's the man, and it's like I am hoping that he has built, like, he was basically given like free reign.
Just here's all the chips, buddy. Here's all and you know what? And it's so crazy. And like, I might be and if you listen to this podcast at all, you're like, oh my God, here comes Ben on a big Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi kick. But I read everything about involved Army of Darkness, Evil Dead, and so many people, even Tarantino, he has said this line. This is a quote. He said, there are movies before Evil Dead 2 and there's movies after Evil Dead 2. No one ever thought about moving the camera the way that camera moves in that movie. And it's because it looks like a comic book. It looks like when you watch Spider-Man 2 and Doc Ock's hands are killing everyone in the operating room. Cut to this, cut to this. Before that, you would have wide shot, two shot, close up. And like to show action and grabbing stuff in the frame, like no one thought to do that and make it look like a comic book and make it work successfully. So the best thing about showing my 8-year-old Army of Darkness was he was like, that movie was so cheesy. He goes, was it supposed to be cheesy? I go, yeah. He goes, it was just so cheesy. It was it was great. So I can't wait to watch it twice, because that's why they're great movies, because when you watch it the second time, now Chris, if you can fathom your brain, when you watched it the first time, you're probably like, what is this? And then you watched it the second time, and you're like, wait a second, this movie is a laugh riot. And then you watch it the third and the fourth and the fifth. I mean, it just keeps going, dude. It's great. Going.
Yeah. No, it's great. So, and Sam Raimi, it's like whatever he does, whatever he puts out there, I'm on board. Like, let's go. So yeah, Doctor Strange, it's incredible. Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, if I see Bruce Campbell, first of all, at all, it's gonna get a reaction.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
If he's as Ash, I'm gonna lose my shit.
So it's gonna be the opposite. So anyway, to segue back, or we hate to digress, which we do a lot in this, but Doctor Strange 2 is gonna be the opposite of Morbius.
Yes, exactly.
Our bold prediction of the year.
Exactly.
Bold prediction.
But if I see Bruce Campbell in the car in Doctor Strange.
Well, the car is in every single Sam Raimi movie ever. You know that.
We'll get the car.
Even in For the Love of the Game. I mean, it's in every single Sam Raimi movie ever. So
By the way, how did that movie?
And actually, it's actually in Quick and the Dead too.
No, it's not. How?
Yeah, it is. It's in like a horse stable under a blanket way in the back. They proved it. It's in every Sam Raimi movie ever.
By the way, I love his IMDb, where you go from like Evil Dead, Quick and the Dead, Army of Darkness, For the Love of the Game, and then like into the Spiderman. And it's like, how did this happen? Like, and you watch For the Love of the Game. By the way, there is nothing that says Sam Raimi in that entire movie. It's like,
it's just a good film. It's just
about a guy throwing a perfect game.
I think that was just his kind of. I mean, also a great sports movie. If you're gonna do like a serious picture for like the studios and say, hey, I'm a legit. It doesn't have to be Goofy Chainsaw Man the whole time. I can do a real movie. Do a sports flick. You know what I mean? Why not? Even if it's a mediocre basketball movie, if it's like We Are Marshall or you know what I mean? Like, great flick. Like Invincible. Awesome. I'll watch that.
I love it. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Let's go YouTubing, my friend. What do you got this week?
Well, why don't you, for people that are watching it, what is YouTubing? What are we doing?
YouTubing. So Ben, I mean, what we like to do is we watch a lot of stuff on YouTube. A lot of stuff on YouTube. It's my nightly ritual before I go to bed. Some people read a book. I watch YouTube for about a half an hour, just scrolling. So what Ben and I like to do is kind of bring some things that we've watched on YouTube, share them on here. And now that we're on video, oh my God,
I know.
Like I could probably like put in some clips here. Actually,
if you want to do that, I was just gonna hold my phone up, but the technology's here, right?
The technology's here. Oh my God, we can actually put that stuff in here. So we'll do that because that would be fun. So Ben, what do you got for YouTube in this week?
All right. Yeah. My first video for YouTubing, and you're going to see a bunch on the screen. My first video is this channel Weird History. Weird History. I think we've had a couple of videos by them.
Yep.
This one is what really happened behind the scenes on Pimp My Ride. So right here, you see Exhibit's face right there. It's 11-minute 59 video. Really interesting stuff. They talk about how these people sometimes didn't really want to do it. They were kind of just hired to do it. They got paid like a nominal fee. And then a lot of the stuff they put in the cars didn't work. It was just done for the show and it wasn't street legal. So they had to take it out even before they left. And then the guys that did the garage didn't even fix the car. So like people would bring their car in, that would be like an old 82 Pinto and the thing had no transmission. They wouldn't take the transmission. And they were so bad at it that the producers of the show just had a tow truck waiting outside. So the tow truck could just take the car back to these people's houses. And these weren't rich people at all. They would make up backstories about them and then just like kind of lie about to make, to better the film. And then Second one is America's Test Kitchen. America's Test Kitchen. Why you shouldn't snap the ends off asparagus. So this one's a 7-minute video. It's a lot of information about asparagus. See this right here, this guy with the asparagus stock.
Yep.
7-minute video. Check it out. Good stuff. Those are my 2 picks for the week, Chris.
Nice. Well, for my first pick is, again, this is not an obscure pick. It's exactly the kind of content that you and I appreciate. It's the Honest Trailers this week. And Honest Trailers this week decided to do the 2 Ghost Rider movies starring Nicolas Cage.
Oh yeah, do that right there. You got blurry background.
I got a blurry background.
Yeah.
But what I love about this video is it goes over both Ghost Rider movies that Nicolas Cage started before he kind of
phenomenal.
started doing his thing.
When's the last time you watched those?
I've never seen one of them, and I don't think
I wonder how those have aged, because I remember they're not bad. They're just comic book movies. I remember they're like
kind of came out before Marvel started doing their thing, and then
I think it came out right after Iron Man 1.
Yeah.
Right in that time. So we didn't know there was an MCU or anything like that.
Right.
So I bet you they're better in Morbius.
By the way, if Nicolas Cage shows up in Doctor Strange, I'm passing out. I'm fainting.
People have speculated that. Speculated that he'll show up as Ghost Rider. So
I'm on board.
And he has talked about how he is upset that no one's approached him to be Ghost Rider. He loved that part. I mean,
well, it's funny because like the video, it has like a cage meter at one point where it's like, where do we get the cage rage? Like, where does it go?
The rage cage. What is the Chris? And I remember Conan O'Brien had, and I have to find this and see if I can find it on YouTube, but he had the terrorist alert level. This is back like when we had like Al Qaeda and stuff, and he's like, they've changed it from red to yellow and orange to different degrees of Nicolas Cage freakouts. And so like the middle one was I'm Castor Troy, woo! And then the last one he had was the I think it was Bad Lieutenant Porticall, when he does like all the cocaine on the desk and he shoots someone in the face and he's like, wow! Like he's like freaking out. And so he was like, so if we see this, he's like, Conan is great. He's like, so if you see this, get in the basement. The terrorists are here. They have struck. It's great.
I love it. So yeah, that's a good one. So yeah, definitely watch that. And then I would be remiss. I mean, this is kind of like a not that I have been watching it, but we should watch it. Sadly, sad news. Drummer for Foo Fighters, Taylor Hawkins.
What? I didn't bring it up because it really bums me out, dude.
Really bums me out.
Really bums me.
We talk about great bands of our generation. Foo Fighters is right up there. Loved everything they put out. And
I saw him in concert, and our friend of the pod, Josh, they saw him last summer in Syracuse.
Quality show. I've seen him twice. Won a Grammy. Taylor Hawkins and Dave Grohl won a Grammy the other night too. So sadly we lost him. So I encourage everybody, go watch some Foo Fighters clips on YouTube. I mean, you're not going to get bad performances. They always do some
great
really
show.
Cool covers.
Great showmanship.
Great show. Especially, they would sometimes Dave would drum and Taylor would sing and all these other things.
Yeah, the last concert was him doing Somebody to Love Me by Queen. Like, what the heck? I know.
Yeah. So sad passing. So yeah, go and the other one too is go watch some Bruce Willis clips. He announced that he's retired from acting. As well, due to a medical condition that's I guess going to affect his motor skills, which just so sad. But another icon that we adore.
Show your kids some Die Hard for next Christmas, because
exactly.
That movie holds up. It's still exciting. Welcome to the party, pal. It's phenomenal, dude. He changed the face of all. Without Bruce Willis and Bruce Campbell, without Bruce Willis, we would not have the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Before Bruce Willis, you had to be Schwarzenegger, Stallone, these ripped up beefcake guys in action movies. And he brought it back to the everyman. The everyman can be a hero. This kind of blue collar cop guy can take down this building full of terrorists. Without that, we wouldn't have Doctor Strange. We wouldn't have even Spiderman for that. Like, Spiderman was trapped in comics. Before that, we couldn't fathom as an audience this little kid taking down like a band of or even even Lord of the Rings, you know what I mean? Like there's very Lord of the Rings kind of quality to, I don't know. It's just, he brought something. And actually, like, if you think of Die Hard with a Vengeance, and maybe I'm taking this a little far. If you think of Die Hard with a Vengeance, he starts the movie extremely drunk and hungover and divorced, and things aren't going well for John McClane. And I think his captain says, Bruce, they usually consume alcohol on the inside because he smells like booze. Love that line. But he's an anti-hero in that movie. He's not a good guy, but he's the only guy who can take down these worst villains. So he brought the anti-hero move, the whole thing. We kind of owe him a lot. So yes, Chris, I love that. I
mean, there's a very classic story about Stallone went and saw Die Hard and was kind of like, shit, I have to change everything. And if you look at Stallone's IMDb before and after Die Hard, you can see the difference where it's like before he was doing Rambo, after Die Hard he's doing like Cliffhanger
or Daylight
and stuff like that.
Great flick.
Where he's playing, regular, like even Demolition Man has a little bit of that Bruce Willis.
Well, I think the line is, why, thank God I can stop working out now. I think that's the line. Right. I think that's what he said. He's like, thank God I don't have to, Rocky IV is his pinnacle. I mean, Rocky IV, his body is out. I mean, he's competing with Dolph Lundgren, the specimen. The guy's like, freaking and like his body is like that. And so I think that's the line. I've heard that he's like, thank God I don't have to work out like that anymore.
And even Schwarzenegger to a point changed a little bit. I mean, Total Recall, like
more of a sci-fi movie, Kindergarten Cop. We start doing comedies. Yeah. Twins. Twins is post Die Hard.
Die Hard. Yeah. So so shout out to Bruce Willis. Thank you for everything and all that jazz. So Ben, that's gonna wrap us up, man. Season new premiere. It feels like a new type of show, but really excited. Season 3. Let's just call it season 3.
The really prequel? Excited. Prequel.
We're gonna go back in time. We're gonna just go back.
We're actually taking the place of the real Ben and Chris. We're playing we're the new actors.
This is deep fake. This is a deep fake. This is not actually my face and whatnot. But folks, you can find these podcasts on 2 different places. One, you're going to find it on the YouTube channel. So give us a follow there. And then it's also live on the blog itself, both in audio and visual form. So watch us, listen to us, whichever one's easiest for you. We want to make it easy as possible for you to get all the entertainment stuff right there on stageblog.com. But Fred, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. And folks, we'll see you right here next week on Desperately Seeking Entertainment.
See ya.